What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you'll receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go and check the video out. Let's get into it. This story is about Big Evil from Swan. Cleman Johnson is his name. Born October 15, 1967. Cleman Johnson was born and raised right there on 88th. He had a house on 88th with a mother and a father, good parents in the household that raised him. Cleman Johnson was a good kid, known for his sweet smile and gentle nature, or so everyone thought. Growing up, he was not getting into much trouble at first. But then, one day, when he was 8 years old, right there on the corner of 86, he was with his friend Daryl, and some teenagers pulled up in a car, jumped out, and unleashed a hail of bullets, and unalived his young friend right in front of him. From that moment forward, Cleman Johnson was never really the same. He began to get into fights in school, get into trouble. One day, there at school, a Crip was picking on a younger dude on the basketball court, and Cleman Johnson came out of nowhere and pushed his head into the pavement, the Crip. And that head push unleashed a lot of blood that spilled right there on the basketball court in front of everyone, where people began to respect Cleman and look up to him at that point, including women. After that, he got fully entrenched in the 8-9 Family Swan Bloods. Now, the 8-9 Family Swan Bloods, I'm going to do a video on them soon, are a smaller faction of the Blood Gang, but known to be very violent, very dangerous, partly because they are smaller in stature. They are surrounded by Crip gangs that are their arch enemies: Kitchen Crips, East Coast Crips, Avalon Garden Crips, Avalon Gangster Crips. They're surrounded by them. And so the Swans, when they began their hood, they began to be known for quick retaliation and violence. Cleman was rising through the ranks of the 8-9 Family Swan Bloods. Ultimately, he became the head honcho of the 8-9 Family Swan Bloods, and a very dangerous and violent one. In fact, one day, sitting on his porch on 88th, where he grew up, in his home, with a white house with a fence around it, he was surveying the area, and he spotted two black dudes at the car wash on 88th and Central, Donald and Peyton. As he spotted them, moments later, a known Family Swan Blood member walked up to them and unleashed a hail of sinister intention bullets, unaliving both of them right there in broad daylight. It was said that Cleman Johnson, Big Evil, had ordered the hit. Big Evil later said that he knew that they didn't gangbang, but they stayed on the east of Central, where the Crips stay. And so they had to go. And not only that, it was a new Family Swan Blood member who had been put up to the task. And his initiation, or at least part of it, was to prove himself by unaliving these people. Donald was a father of a girl. He worked for a cable company, and he had just returned from the Marines. And again, he did not gangbang. in September of 1992. Albert, a member of the Swan Bloods himself, came over to Clement's residence, or somewhere where Clement Johnson was at, with his brother, who was a Crip. A shootout ensued. And even though Albert's brother survived the shootout, he lost an eye in the shooting. He lost use of one of his eyes. He was Clement Johnson and two others were arrested for the shooting. They were trying to persuade Albert's brother not to come to court and testify against Big Evil, Clement Johnson. And it was clear, and when it was clear that Albert's brother would not testify, that he was in fact going to go to court and snitch and testify, it is said that Clement Johnson, his name is Big Evil from Swan, ordered that he be brutally unalived. And just a few days later, he was brutally unalived by a member of the family Swans. He was shot in the back of the head, was Albert's brother. Just a few days after that, Clement Johnson and others got word that the 9-7 East Coasters were holding a house party not far from where they were at. Well, they loaded up the car, sped around there, and once again unleashed a hell of bullets. And 9 people or so were shot, and one person was unalive. One time, Big Evil had ordered 2 people to have a shootout to distract the police away from the Avalon Gardens. And when they had the shootout somewhere and unleashed their bullets, and the police went that way, well, Clement Johnson had 2 people set up in getaway cars, and about 10 of them, Clement Johnson and 9 or 10 of his homeboys, walked into the Avalon Gardens and unleashed at least 200 bullets. The police later said that it was a miracle almost that only one person had lost their life. And that hail of bullets. Clement Johnson was known for going to jail for unalivings and beating the rap. Sort of like John Gotti, he was becoming known as a Teflon Don, someone who you did not want to betray, someone who you did not want to cross. Well, he had a lot of power over there in the Swan neighborhood. And the Swans were known, again, for quick retaliations. This was their MO. In fact, it got so bad and they were so quick with their retaliations that when someone would come and shoot in their neighborhood and the police found out who it was, the police would go and post up in that neighborhood and wait on the Swans to come back and shoot them up, knowing that they were about to respond immediately, and most of the time the police were already too late. The Swans had already responded. Well, again, they are a smaller group, a smaller faction, but they pack a powerful punch, a big muscle. They are unafraid. Well, they were all now really going on the command of Big Evil, Clement Johnson. And in 1994, a woman named Gloria said that she saw a Swan kill someone in broad daylight. A few days later, Gloria was unalived. Not long after, a woman named Denise on the same case was testifying that she had saw the same thing. She too was unalived. Big Evil had cultivated and developed a reputation for going to jail for unalivings and getting out. And so the word was on the street that if you ratted on him and told on him, he would still beat the case and come out and unalive you or have you unalive. Well, people on the streets of Los Angeles were in big time fear of Big Evil for many years. In fact, he had ordered the unaliving of a detective named Matthews because he had got on his bad side. The LA SWAT team had to shadow Detective Matthews everywhere that he went for some time, in fear that Evil's henchmen would make good on his threat. He was known for ordering unalivings in jail. He could have you hit and unalived right there from his jail cell. In 1994, the detectives had put together a squad specifically to take down Clemen Johnson, aka Big Evil. Well, they had had enough of him terrorizing Los Angeles and running a very powerful game. So they put together some people who they believe were elite and can take him down. It wasn't going to be so easy. The LAPD had linked Big Evil Clemen Johnson to 20 unalivings. In fact, Detective Thomas said that Evil was the most violent gang member in the whole city of Los Angeles. Now, that's a mouthful. That's a lot to say. There are a lot of violent individuals in Los Angeles. This is not anything to gloat or be proud of. This is just to state the facts. A lot of violence and a lot of gang banging, of course, has been transpiring in Los Angeles for decades. Very violent members from different gangs. So for the police to say, who have seen a lot, the police on the streets of Los Angeles, have seen a variety of violent individuals. For them to say that he is the most violent of all of Los Angeles, for me, speaks volumes. And in 1997, Clemen Johnson and a couple of others were arrested for the unaliving of Donald and Peyton right there at the car wash. He was convicted and sentenced to death, was Clemen Johnson, Big Evil, for the unaliving of Donald and Peyton there at the car wash for ordering the hit on them too. He was convicted of that and sent to death row. He said that when he was convicted, he celebrated by drinking prison-made brew. He said that he was not upset about going to death row. In fact, he was convinced that death row had saved his life. And so, Big Evil, he was one for the record books. And the thing is, Big Evil, well, he had a little brother named Timothy Johnson. It's true. Timothy, well, he appeared to be eager to follow into his big brother's very large footsteps because, again, Big Evil is a monumental figure from the Bloods. He's a monumental figure from the Swans. He had control. I'm not from Swan. I know of Big Evil, though. He had control. He was running things over there for many years. And again, he was very reputable and very violent. And he would retaliate immediately in order and retaliation if anyone came over there bothering any of the Bloods. And when he went to death row and he went down, the Swans, well, they continue their violent ways. And his brother, well, he was anxious to follow into his brother's footsteps, to keep the family history of unfettered violence alive and well. Clearly, he had resolved that he too was going to become a reputable member of the family Swan Bloods. And not only that he will also replicate his brother's violence with unabashed, unbridled violence throughout the city of Los Angeles. So coming up, the story of Big Evil's little brother Timothy, who in many ways was just as violent and vicious, and two, met a very tragic end in the end, as most of us do when we run those streets. Stay tuned for that. Big Evil, 8-9 family Swan Bloods. Strong dude, very reputable dude, a very murderous dude again, according to authorities, was responsible alone for 20 unalivings on behalf of his neighborhood. I'll be back with the story of his little brother. In the meantime, stay free, people!